Today with us on Stool Talk, we have with us a young lady that's on fire for God. She's serving. She's a son. She's in ministry. She's walking the walk, and she's not allowing the naysayers or people to define who she are. She's doing it on her own and allowing God's will to be done in her life and through her ministry and through her brand. On Stool Talk, we walk in our purpose on purpose, and I feel like this spotlight from Miss Jhayla S is definitely walking in her purpose on purpose. How you doing today?
I'm blessed. I am. This is usually my chill day, but still been doing hair,
Uh,
still going to church. So even on my rest days, I'm still highly involved in what I
yeah,
have going. So I'm good. I'm just happy to be here. I'm thankful. I am that you asked. So here we are.
I appreciate it. And the hard work, where did that come from? Had that always been implemented in you, or as you got older, did you develop that?
I can honestly say that's something I grew up with. My mom has always been a type of mom that's like, you need a trade, you need a skill, you need something that you can do that you can survive off of that other people can never take from you. Jobs come and go, but what are you good at without anything else? So she actually, taught me about soft skills and physical skills very, very, very early. Like I can think back to like pre-K wanting to do hair.
Wow.
Yeah.
What was it? What was the first person who hair you did, or that you got into and got the experiment on?
Oh, it was my Bratz doll. I'll never forget. I got a Bratz head for Christmas. I probably was no more than 5 or 6. And I really wanted it. It was cut off at the shoulder, so it was just the head. And I never forget, my mom sat me down. We were on the couch and she taught me how to braid. I
Wow.
was no more than 6. So somewhere between 4 and 6 years old. And my mom had locks. So eventually she started teaching me how to retwist her hair. And I just kept going from there. And then YouTube taught me how to do my own hair, my own braids,
Yeah.
and kept building, kept growing. And eventually, people around you, they're like, oh, who did your hair? And I'm like, oh, I did. And it just kept building from there.
Yeah. Shout out to your mom. She the real MVP because you got the cheat code, being able to have her implement all that knowledge and wisdom into you because she knew that you were needed. So she was doing it to be able to pour it into you, and now you're able to reciprocate it and use it and to make other people's day or make their outing or wherever they're going, because you transforming them into a whole nother person as they leave your chair. So when did you did you grow up in a family with church? Was you always saved? Did you grow into it? What was your first reaction with God and faith?
So I think I would say I grew up in a lukewarm Christian home.
Okay.
So we loved God, we prayed, but there was no daily reading of the Bible. There was no consistency in going to church. Um, Not too much gospel unless it was a Sunday morning. But yeah, I grew up with a young mom, so naturally she listened to things, did things. So it was like a bit of both. Like she knew God, but she wasn't on fire yet. But I would say that my mom's mom, my maternal grandmother, was the one who really introduced me to God. She made sure we were saved. Anytime we went over there, we had to have church clothes. That's all she did was listen to the gospel. All she did was talk about the Bible. So, I grew up curious because I'm like, I see, my grandma is doing this and she's talking about it all the time, but like, this isn't my daily reality.
Yeah.
But I can say I probably was not, I didn't know God for myself until I was about 22.
Okay.
So about 3 years ago.
Okay. So can you tell us about a special moment, experience, even if it was at the age of 22, where God and faith played an important role in your life, where you said, "Listen here, man, I'm about to just do this thing, no matter how it looks."
The year I decided that I would do hair full time was the exact same year that I got to know God for myself. So
Wow.
I know that's not a coincidence.
Right.
But graduated college. I finished early. So I kind of didn't have a plan for real. You know, it was like, you know what, I'm done early. I'm ahead of the curve. I can kind of coast a little bit.
Yeah.
It was COVID. That wasn't the reality. So I came home, couldn't find a job in my field. You know, you're living with your, I lived with one of my grandmothers at one point, and then I lived with my mom at one point, and this is all within like a 6-month period. And I was just like, I came from having my own place in another state, and I'm back home. I can't find a job. I'm living with my folks. I had gotten into a car accident, didn't have a car. I'm like, God, what's going on? And I still wasn't quite leaning on him until the doors kept closing, or not even kept closing, just wouldn't open in the first place. And I'll never forget, I was in my mom's house where I'm at right now, actually. I come and visit so ever so often, but I was living with her and I had my own room here, and it was probably like 12 in the morning and everybody sleep. And I was listening to somebody on that it was some type of app. It was popular a couple years ago where you would get on and you would talk in different chat rooms.
Yeah.
And I can't remember the name of it, but it was a preacher in one of the chat rooms. And he happened to ask, you know, if anybody wanted to get saved. And I'm like, do I want to get saved? You know, like, I feel like I've tried everything. I've done everything on my own. Nothing's working. And I don't know, I've just felt that pull. And I'm listening to them talking there. And the preacher is talking about everything I'm going through. You know, I had just got out of a bad relationship, just moved back home, just lost my everything. No money, no friends, no car, no job, no boyfriend, no nothing. My family looking at me, you know, like, you done had it all together, and then here you are. So it just made me break down that night.
Yeah.
And you know what, God, I'm gonna do it. Like, what do I have to lose? I have nothing right now. I've hit rock bottom. And I did it that night. And afterwards, God told me to pick up my Bible. And I started in Genesis.
Yeah.
I didn't know where to start. I didn't know what to do. I jumped from Genesis to Psalms. And from there, it just grew. Next thing you know, I began to, you know, study the Bible with my mom and my brothers. And then I got a job. I was able to get an apartment. And, you know, it's so much more in the testimony that I haven't even, this is just the tip of it, honestly. I experienced being homeless, living in a hotel at 22 years old before I got my apartment. And I'll never forget, in that hotel room, this is when I knew, like, not only am I saved, but like, God loves me. In that hotel room, it was me and my 13-year-old brother. And I told God, I said, I don't have nothing else, so I'm gonna just give you what I have to give you, and it's my life.
Oh man.
Yeah. And I danced in that hotel room. I had never thought about dancing for God, but in that hotel room, I just happened to dance because I didn't know what else to do. Never really danced much before that, but it was just like a pulling to dance. So I danced, I broke down, I screamed out yes to God, like, you can have my life.
Yeah.
It's been ill ever since. It
Yeah.
has. It has. I had an apartment a week later, a new job in a law firm, a car, all within a month of being homeless at rock bottom, telling God, here's my life. Because if you don't come with it, this is it. I was ready to kill myself. I was. So he did his thing.
So
He did
did
his thing.
did you know like this is God, or you just start saying like, man, this is happening, or did you know like as soon as it happened, like, thank you, I know this Jesus, like I know this God looking like, did you see it,
When
or when
opening,
when the doors was open, when you start getting the stuff after you gave your life, because you know after you say yes, you know you start to see, but did you know, or did you like, man, it's too good to be true? Did you question it, or did you just know it was from God?
I knew it was something beyond me.
Yeah.
So at this point, I'm still like, I just gave God my yes. So maybe he's rewarding me for not only giving him my life, but actually like verbally expressing that. So I kind of had a feeling, but I still wasn't quite sure how that Christian thing worked. Like,
Yeah.
I knew about God, but I didn't know how he was. I didn't know him. I knew about him, not how or who he actually truly was, like his characteristics. So it wasn't until getting in this apartment and deciding, you know what, God, I think you gave me this and I don't even want it. I don't want to work in this law firm anymore. You know, I don't want to be in this area that I live in this apartment. So I was feeling ungrateful. And that is when I actually was like, you know what? I need a prayer closet.
Yeah.
And God allowed things to get shaky in that season for me to see who he is. Like, okay, yeah, you were going through a tough time and I cared enough for you. I cared so much about you. I cared about your life that I made sure that you came out of this hole that you were in where you were ready to kill yourself. But
Yeah.
here you are, and that's something else, you know. It was, I don't know if it was an unhappiness in me or maybe I just wasn't quite going in the right direction yet. But for him to redirect me twice in a
Yeah.
year, and I prayed about it in that prayer closet. I used to stay up all night and cry and pray. I'm like, I'm so unhappy here. And I'll
Yeah.
never forget, he told me, quit your job and start doing hair.
Wow.
I was just homeless. Like, okay, I got a car though. I got rent to pay. I got all of this stuff going on now. You know, like I waited for almost a full year to get this job. Like, quit it. And I
Yeah.
wasn't making much. But it took me a minute to be obedient. I would get off work at 5 and go do hair. I would pull up to people's house, do their hair, start the day all over again. And that was my Monday through Friday, you know. But one day I was on lunch break, and this was in Vinings, Georgia, in Cobb County. And I was just sitting on my lunch break, staring at the sky. And I said, you know what? I can't do this no more. I'm
Mm.
I'm miserable. So if I'm hearing God right, this gonna work out. If I'm hearing him wrong, I'm just gonna have to find another job. And
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
quit. And that was 2021. June 4th, 2021 was my last time working for somebody else.
And you stepped out on faith. What I heard, just by you saying that is you were faithful with what God got you. So God give you all this stuff, and just like in the Bible, when the man wanted a son, and he gave him the son, but then that was the first thing he pulled back, like give him back to me. You were able to say, God, you can have all this stuff, even though you were grateful, even though you were in those situations, and he gave you something. The person could have just been content, like, no, this cool, this what I got. I was in that situation, but you like, no, I'm gonna trust you. You can
Yeah.
have it. So when you said yes and you gave what he gave back to you, he's seen that you were faithful. And if you're faithful with a little bit, he'll bless you with even much more. So that's what I seen with that. How did you incorporate your faith with a daily routine like prayer and being connected to him? And is it still the same but on a higher level because you've grown more spiritual as it is now as it was back then?
I would say that it started out with just me walking my walk by myself. I prayed daily. I probably prayed in that closet. I prayed in that closet so many times. My brother thought I was crazy. He was like, "What are you doing in this closet?" Like, he
Yeah.
was like, "I hear you hollering and crying. Like, what's going on with you?" Like, he was worried for me.
Yeah.
But I can honestly say, as I grew, that's when I'm like, "Well, God, I need community because I'm lonely."
Yeah.
And I prayed specifically. I said, God, if it is meant for me to be a part of a church, send me a church home. And I'll never forget, I was on YouTube. I watched a lot of sermons, Mike Todd, Sarah Jakes, Sister Tiffany Buckner. Had no clue Sister Tiffany was in Atlanta. And
Yeah.
after I prayed that, and I happened to watch a video, and she was like, "Oh yeah, I'm in Atlanta, my church." I said, "Oh God, this is it." It. So I went and I visited. And I think that is what took my spiritual life to a whole nother level. Because when
Yeah.
I walked in there the first time during worship, it was dark. It was dark. And I'm like, oh, what's going on in here? And God said, welcome home. I fell out during worship maybe for the first 6 months of being there. But from there, the accountability, yes, I'm going to get up and go to church because I know who God is. Like, I'm learning him for myself. I've seen him take me from here to there, from there to here, you know? So it just was like a desire to get to know him and a desire to see how he was with other people. Like, are we experiencing the same God? That was interesting to me. And then I decided to join the dance ministry. Didn't even know that really was a thing. But God reminded me of me in that hotel room. Like, I've seen you worship me alone, and I've brought you people who worship me the same way. Something you never even thought. I never thought about worshiping him in public. That was like, this. I was so selfish with God for so long. Like, you're my God. What we do is like, this is us, you know? But I really feel like with my church home embassy, it taught me the importance of corporate worship, corporate intercession. So getting involved in church helped me to hold myself accountable on a daily basis. If I'm dancing every Sunday, I can't afford to get up and not pray.
Yeah.
Now, you know, I can't afford to, you know, get up and not read my word. If I go a day without reading my word, because it gets busy in the salon, it's like, ooh, the day feel weird, you know?
Yeah.
So I've tried to also incorporate that into my work life. When I'm in the salon, we're worshiping together. If you don't believe in God, you've been learn who he is, you know? Like, this, he the reason why I'm doing your hair. So, you know, you gonna have to get with the program. So I usually like to start my mornings in the salon like that, because sometimes I don't get a chance to worship him at home. Let's take it into the job. You know, sometimes if I'm there during Tuesday midweek service, we watching it. Whoever in my chair, we watching it. If I miss something, all right, let's go back and watch it. So I hold myself accountable now, which is different from when I first started, because at first it was a desperation. Now it's like it's a maturity in my spirituality. It's not that I feel like I'm always desperate because can't nothing get done without him, but it's not like God isn't my last resort. God is my only resort. You get me? It's not, you're not, well, I've tried everything, now I'm gonna try you. It's like, nah, I'm coming to you first.
Thanks.
You're the one-stop shop. Let's get it done, you know? So I keep God at the forefront of my day. I do. And I've introduced God to my family. So the same household that I grew up in, where we knew nothing of God in church, my mom has found a church home. My siblings are saved. They go every Sunday. They're involved. You know, just so seeing how God changed me and my family seeing me change and it just trickling down into it. It's been, it's been a blessing.
What I love about this is it's not one person or two people that can say they got their DNA on you giving your life and serving God. Because if somebody else did it or brought you to it, now they fingerprints on it.
Right.
Being that God did it and you had an intimate relationship, then God gets the glory, and that's what he wanted to do. But you being around your mom and your granny, I see why you got an older soul. Like you act so much older, you know, but you younger and wise. And then I can see now what you telling me when you first had that encounter, how you just danced because your praise and your worship, it sets the atmosphere at church. And I remember your cousin even was on a video that you was on at Embassy saying how she seen your worship, how it did something to her, and just seeing other people comment, not even saying that you post and look at me, because people that know you, they see you. Or, you know, shout out to Embassy and they media team, they do such a great job. So now they getting you to where you really in it, and you really, the Holy Spirit is going through you, and is going through your dancing, and people is getting affected by it because that's part of worship. So I can see why it's like the way it is now, because that's how it started. But it's probably accelerated because you growing and you stronger and you deeper in the word. But it makes sense now.
Yeah. And you know, I will never forget the first time I made it through my trial period and I touch the floor to dance on a Sunday. And one of the intercessors came up to me and was like, "You just dance God's heart."
Yeah.
I don't even think I said thank you because I was so in shock. I'm like, I went out there and did something that technically I was not trained to do. I went out there and just bowed down and prayed. Like, I didn't even dance my first time going out there for a solo. I went out there and I got on my hands and knees in front of, and that wasn't nothing but God, because I would have went out there and try to dance something. And like I said, I don't dance often, not before, joining. But when she told me that, I said, oh, not only am I the faucet that's pouring, but I'm also receiving at the same time.
Yeah.
So God has literally made me dance on Sundays where I felt underqualified to be out there. That's my personal life. And it healed me.
Yeah.
So not even most of the time, every time, y'all might think I'm dancing for y'all. But it's for all of us. Like, definitely me included. I received so much just from getting up and saying, you know what? The spiritual warfare been kicking me lately, but I have an assignment, I haven't, and I feel like I don't touch people if it's not authentic. So if I haven't experienced it, if I'm not actually going through it in a moment, or, just got out of it, I have nowhere to draw from.
Yeah.
I have no way to impact you if I haven't been there. So a lot of times I question God why I had to go through the things I went through, but now I'm grateful.
Yeah.
I wouldn't do it all over again, but
Yeah.
I don't for a second get upset about any of where I've been through. None of it.
And shout out Tanya too for doing a good job heading that. Shout out Embassy, shout out Apostle, shout out Tiffany too. I meant to say that, but I ain't want to cut you off. So God uses the qualified and he qualifies them too. But being that our church is so much of a prophetic house, your worship is prophetic and it's setting the atmosphere, like you saying, what it's doing and what the anointing is doing inside of you. So that's why like you're not just doing it carnal, you're not just doing it for yourself, you're not just doing it, you taking yourself out of it and you giving it to him, because even like last Sunday, Apostle said something about y'all going down the routine y'all had did. I wasn't there, I was at work, but the routine y'all did, and he said, like, look, they did this, and it was a minister because they can see through y'all, and ain't like y'all said we about to do this just so he can say that y'all didn't even know, y'all just being used by God. And the way that y'all pray and y'all togetherness is not no flesh is totally out of it, so how do you juggle being in ministry, doing hair, still being a lady, still living life be life, and how do you juggle all that and keep your connection with God?
Whew. I'm gonna be real with you. I have to check myself. I have to check myself a lot. Dying to your flesh daily, a lot of people think is, denying yourself of sin and gratification. Sometimes it's not even about all of that. Sometimes it's about, hold on, God, where am I? What am I doing? Do you want me to be doing everything I'm doing? Have you come out of this and this is just my flesh now? Like, what's what? So I have to do regular assessments about the things going on in my life. God, am I working too many days out of the week?
Yeah.
God, am I dancing more Sundays than you want me to dance? Or am I dancing too little Sundays do you want me to dance? Lord, am I praying enough? Like, it got to a point where a year ago, I sat down from dance ministry for maybe about 3 months, because I said, my personal relationship with God is slacking right now. Like, I'm so busy, I'm quick to give it all back, and I didn't even realize that's what I had did previously with going from 9 to 5 to entrepreneurship and that apartment to upgraded apartment. I didn't realize I was giving it back to him, but my everyday self now, I'm ready. Like, oh, if you here, because it's a lot, and I'm grateful, but I think God only blessed me with it because he knows at a drop of a dime, this don't mean nothing if you ain't in it.
Yeah.
So I manage it by checking myself, regular assessments. I pray and ask God all the time, do you still want me here? If this season is up, I need to know. If you're not in it, I need to know. Like, if I'm not keeping you first in it, check me. I listen, I'm probably hard on myself. But I know what it feels like to do stuff without God. I never want to be there again. So that's really, time management isn't even that big of a factor. Everything has its set day for me. I know the days I do hair. I know the days dedicated to ministry. So my calendar is full every day, all day.
Right.
Every day, all day. I pray it through. God, I don't feel like getting up this morning, so you're gonna have to give me strength. You know that, right? And he'll get me right on up. Or God, I'm halfway through the day. I really don't know how to keep it pushing. I need to go sit in my car and pray and worship and cry. And I might need to stay at the altar a little bit longer, today, like, come on, I need you. I call on God for everything. God is not aggravated with us. God is not annoyed by us calling on him. He loves when we call on him. So I'm calling on you,
Yeah.
I'm pulling.
Yeah.
I'm pulling all the time. I'm pulling because I can't do it in my own strength.
Yeah.
And I didn't call myself to this. So if he called me, he gonna get me through it. And that's what God told me about a year ago. If I brought you to it, I'm gonna sustain you in it.
Yeah.
I said, oh, I don't have nothing to worry about. I just got to keep you first.
Yeah.
Seek ye first the kingdom and all its righteousness, and all things will be added unto you. But the fine print is he gonna sustain you too.
Yeah.
People don't know that. Yeah, he gonna add it to you, but he's also gonna give you everything you need to sustain. He's gonna give you his spirit to keep pushing. He's gonna give you the strength that you need to keep going. He's gonna give you the stamina to withstand the warfare that come with the blessing. Because it's a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot. I took a nap. It was only 20 minutes. But I had to get it in, okay?
Yeah, when we say yes to God, it's a journey and ain't for the weak. And in our weakness, his strength is made whole. How do you envision using your talents and being a praise dancer, being a beautician, entrepreneur, as far as your mission to influence other and to minister to the different people?
My mission, or where I see God taking it, I never quite know what he has going on. He don't give me the full scope of it. But where I see God taking it is him blessing me with a salon for me to train up younger girls and give them the gift that I was given by God. This is how you can worship. This is how you can praise. This is how you can speak. This is how you can talk. I've had to change my language. I've had to change my style of dress. I've had to change how I see things, how I see people. I've had to change how I love. And I think God honestly put me in this field of hair because what better way to reach people than in an intimate setting? My hands are in your head, and sometimes I've had people in my chair and God is like, anoint your hands before you touch them. So I see God taking me in a direction with a shop or maybe multiple. I'm not sure. But whatever he gives me, I'm going to be thankful because the people I've touched that have told me I've touched them, and sometimes I wasn't even doing it on purpose. I ain't going to lie to you.
Yeah.
Sometimes I wasn't doing it on purpose, but the people I've prayed with in that salon, the people who have cried, we done cried together in the salon.
Yeah.
That's ministry right there. And then you add dance into it, and it's like, oh, you can be this same person outside of church that you are in church, and it's just like a 2-for-1. When people find out that I'm active in church, they're like, oh my God, I'm looking for a church. Can I come to your church? I'm like, please.
Yes.
So it's just showing people that church isn't, Holy Spirit, help me say this. Church isn't the judgmental church that we think it is.
Yeah, facts.
There are people like me, 20-somethings, just now coming out of poverty, loving God, serving God, and still have a business. I think a lot of people that if you're a Christian, then you just like blah, 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 blah. You know, we're not stuck in tongues all day. We should be in our lives, but you know, we're not in tongue praying all day, you know, unrelating to people who are trying to search for God. For people to know that we are capable,
Yeah.
reaching them, loving them, caring for them, looking like them, and serve God.
Yeah.
Man, I think that was when I realized, oh, okay, God, I'm not as low as I thought I was. You know, because you don't realize why God wants you.
All right.
For
Yeah. Yeah. You right
it's
about that.
like it's a lot of people my age. You come out of college, you don't know what's going on. You like what? You don't know where to start. It's people want to start business, they don't know where to start.
All
So
right.
testimony of my leaps of faith. If I can give that to you in our 2 hours of me doing your hair, that might have just changed your whole life. I don't know. Maybe it's the seed planted. Maybe it's I'm the one that watered it. But I think overall, it's an outlet for people. And people come to get their hair done to relax and to be cared for, you
Yeah.
know? So I kick it up a notch. Let's
Yeah.
talk. You know, open to talking God. Let's talk God. So I use my gifts not only to reach people verbally or with intimacy of doing their hair, but I also reach people like sometimes I don't even have the words myself, but I dance it out.
Yeah.
I cry it out. So I think it's not just that I love God. I think it's my expression of how I love him through my hands and through my movement.
Yeah.
To know that God accepts all of us, you know, like he accepts not only my mind and my spirit, he accepts my hands and my gift to do hair, and he also accepts my whole body as a way to express how I feel about him, you know. That's a
Yeah.
beautiful thing. That's a beautiful thing.
Yeah. How do you believe your faith in God shapes your approach in dating and relationship with just individuals?
It keeps me single.
Because, and the reason why I'm saying this because people out there need to know the reality of it. They need to know being transparent. Because if you on fire for God, the person you deal with, whether y'all just friends or even your female friends, even your family, they got to be on that same type of time because your discernment and you not gonna be on what they own and all the negative. Because you know God is not the author of confusion or chaos, so you definitely not gonna be around that. So how do you decipher and how do you juggle that type of decisions that you might have to make?
Honestly, before, like I said, I got out of a relationship before um I dedicated my life to God, and I've just been single since. But for me, at first it was being hidden. But this year I've noticed that more men have approached me. So what's really helped me decipher is one, I want to know if you saved. I want to know that off rip. Don't even my phone. Don't think you get my phone number if you're not saved. That's
Right.
first and foremost. And second of all, I want to know, do you have a church home?
Yeah.
Okay, you saved because your granny made you say this prayer when you was 7, but like, do you go to church? Do you pray? I want to know what your prayer life is like, you
Yeah.
know? So those are questions I ask, no matter how uncomfortable the conversation may get. Because if the conversation shifts into a certain way, then you're not for me. You
Yeah.
know, if this makes you uncomfortable, then you're not for me. I've weeded and seeded out a lot of people just by that. But there have been a couple of people that I've given the time of day to and went out on a date with, and it usually ends around the prayer life area.
Yeah.
Not praying enough, if at all. You believe in God, but you don't have nothing to say to him. Or maybe, you know, they just have no interest in going to church. I know everybody isn't called to church, but for me, that's a big one.
Yeah.
I have a ministry in church, I have a ministry outside of church. You need to be able to do both. That's
Yeah.
how I feel
Yeah.
like, you know, everybody needs that recharge. So I think just making sure that the person that is for me or the person that's trying to come to me is at least on the same level as far as their spirituality. I feel like everything else can fall in place. But that's just me personally. Your spiritual health matters, and I can't have you around me and you don't know God for yourself, and now the enemy done used you as warfare against me. You know, like I don't have time for that. You know, I have assignments.
Yeah.
Assignments. God gave me purpose. I have stuff to do. So if you can't cover me, if you're gonna be wide open, to be used as a weapon against me, we good, you know. So yeah, a prayer life and a spiritual covering on top of being saved, they're my top 3 right there.
Yeah. Do you find that you being saved and being on fire for God is intimidating to other family members, friends, or people that you're around, even though you're not doing it on purpose? That's just how you is. Do you feel like it's some intimidation?
I think the intimidation manifests as them assuming I'm judgmental.
Yes.
Because a lot of stuff I don't comment on that I see. You know, I grew up seeing y'all do this. I don't think you're going to change overnight. So a lot of stuff I don't comment on, but a lot of people just distance themselves from me. Some people do out of a way of, they see it as a way of respect, because I've had this conversation with a couple of my cousins before. It's more so a way of respecting that I made my choice.
Yeah.
So that, like, when one of my cousins told me that specifically, I was like, I get that, you know, because if we around each other and you smoking and I don't smoke no more, like I'm gonna feel some type of way, and I don't want to go home. So I think it's more so the enemy playing tricks on them, because I'm gonna love them the same. Nothing's gonna change, but they don't want to do the stuff that they used to do around me.
Yeah.
Off fear of that I may judge them, or I might start preaching to them. They'd be like, okay, I know, don't even. And I was like, I wasn't even gonna say nothing. Like, I wasn't gonna say nothing, you know. Or just like, you know what, you chose that, and I'm happy for you, and I see that your life is improved. I don't even want to be around you doing this. But more of my family has accepted it and continue to build and grow their own relationship based off seeing me than those that haven't.
Yeah.
You know, I haven't had really any falling outs or anything, like nothing that was confrontational. So I'm thankful, because one thing I do feel like that God has been doing is using me for my family to see, like, yeah, we come from the ghetto of Atlanta. It's possible, you know, come from poverty, but soon as Jhayla put God first, her life changed, you know. So I see them more so trying to read their Bible. They might come to church sometimes, or they might watch it online. I might get a little text message like, oh, I've been praying consistently. So God, so good. He's been definitely showing me, like, you doing good, keep going, because there are people watching you. And for a long time I didn't want to accept the call, because I'm like, people watching me. I never wanted to be a leader knowing that I was called to lead, you know. That was tough for me, and it still, you know, still is sometimes, because I know certain stuff I can't afford to do, certain things I can't afford to not do. And that's a lot when you young and you think that you got so much more to do in the world. But God has shown me, like, I've given you way more than the world can give you.
Yeah.
The world can't give you.
Yeah, and then that keeps you close, because not my will, your will be done. Because if it's God's will, He's leading you, then you know that every decision you make, and I gotta trust you, because you're gonna order my steps, you're gonna give me the thoughts, the knowledge, the wisdom, the words to say, even in my leadership ability. You're constantly leaning on Him, and with elevation, it causes separation. So it's separating and weeding out the people that are not supposed to be there, but the people that see you elevating, that want to, is causing them to draw near, you know. And that's big, especially for your family, because they're seeing you walk, and your walk is, you know, influencing them. So God is getting the glory even in that.
Listen, part of my life.
Yeah. What would you say to a young lady that might be struggling with identity, might be settling with self-love, maybe not having a father around, so she might not know which way to turn, whether it's the streets, whether it's friends that ain't no good, but she might not know what to do. What would you say to that?
This gonna sound so crazy. I don't think I've ever heard anybody say this, but let God break you down. Don't keep trying to pick yourself up. Don't keep trying to be make it happen. I've been there. I can do it all on my own. I don't need nothing to nobody. You need God. Let him break you down till ain't nothing left. Like, till you ain't nothing but the dirt under your feet. Let him break you down.
Yeah.
Because the more you try to hold on to a life that isn't for you, you'll be up in the wrong world. And when you crumble, it's even worse, you know? So I say, growing up without my dad there, growing up with a single mom, being the oldest of five, not knowing God, not loving myself, not knowing what that even looks like, you know, not having a role model that really loves herself. Because if she loves herself, she's single and ain't got no man, so she is Miss Independent. That's what I thought that was. Break you down. You don't know everything. You don't know what you think you know. Your looks, how you feel about how you look don't equate to how you love yourself. The way your physique is does not equate to loving yourself. There's so much more in there. And the only person that can dig that up is God. The gifts, the anointing, and the love that's hidden under all of this stuff the world has thrown on us.
Yeah.
Let God shed you and break you down to the smallest of who you are. And that's where them gifts at. That's where the diamonds at, buried under all that dirt. I'm talking about, that's why they got miners. You got to get down dirty to find the good stuff. So let God break you down. Let him crumble you. 2020 to 2021, them 2 years, you can tell me I was worth nothing. God was eating me up, okay? And that all the dirt, that seed that was in there sprouted.
Yeah.
When I let God prune and chip away and bulldoze every idea and thought that I thought was like me. Nah. We don't really know who we are until God shows us who we are, because before that, we're just really a picture of what the world is.
Yeah.
And worth none.
Yeah.
I would say, I'll break you down. Let him break you down, because he's the one who's going to pick you back up and put you back together the right way.
Yeah, and when you get that relationship with God, because that's what God is love. So that's the real love that you will be able to get. What would you say to to the youth that might be trying to be a stylist, going to entrepreneurship? What would you say to them to help build their faith up if they're starting on ground zero?
Always be malleable. Always be willing to learn. Always be open to knowing that somebody knows more than you.
Yeah.
Peace, pride. Learn as much as you can. One. Keep going even when you don't believe in yourself. I didn't believe in myself at first. I'm like, ain't no way I'm gonna do this full time. I'm not even a professional for real. I'm a little ghetto stylist who used to do hair in the hood. Ain't no way. For real. I'm on Gresham Road braiding hair for $50. Like, no way you want me to do this. So believe in yourself even when you don't believe in yourself. Keep going. Keep going. If you saw the braids I used to do back in 2015, you'd be like, who you anything? $50? Why would they even give you $50? You know, but it was good for that time. But I would say keep going. Always be open to learning. And most importantly, figure out your relationship with God. Find it, figure it out, see who he is, because like I said, you'll be up in the wrong world and you're going to crumble and it's going to be a harder fall.
Yeah.
I never ever wanted to be that person who was up, didn't believe in God, and when I finally had the chance to get to know him, now I got to lose this big old empire that I done built in darkness. Nah, buddy. Let's start from the ground. Let's get this God, and let's go from there. So I would, them main three, without God, without believing in myself, and without always be willing to learn and not being prideful and knowing I don't know everything, I would not be here. I'm still learning every day about hair. It's always know more than you. Always.
Yeah. Last question. Well, not even a question. I want you to be able to just say what's ever on your heart and on your mind that you want to say to the youth out here that might be seeing it, or young ladies your age that might be dealing with anything. Say whatever God put on your heart to them that's watching.
God. Don't let anybody define your walk with Christ. Don't let anybody tell you what it's supposed to look like. Don't let anybody tell you that he can't love you because you cuss. He don't love you because you still having sex. He don't love you because you drinking and smoking. Don't let anybody define your walk with Christ. All he wants you to do is come to him and he'll handle the rest later. Yeah. Like, I came to him broken, and listen, every sin, almost every sin you could think of, I probably was doing it. I'm not gonna lie. Drunk every night, high as a kite every day, had a boyfriend who wasn't hitting on nothing. Like, he was selling drugs, I was helping him sell the drugs, and I came to God anyway. Yeah. I don't think I'm worth nothing, all the stuff that I did, but this, like I said, he was my last resort before he was my only option, like, and I went to him anyways, and he cleaned me up. All I had to do was go. So I say, anybody, wherever you are, don't let anybody define your walk. Wherever you are, if you have an intimate relationship with him, he's going to do everything. You don't even have to do much but give him that yes. Yeah. So judgment from other people, that should not even be something any of us worry about. We all go through stuff. We always going to be going through stuff. We're here. We're in this world, Yeah. That's what it is, and God knows that. So the grace that's on your life, the covering, once you give God your yes, is all that matters. What that looks like for you is what it looks like for you, but always be willing to grow in Christ. Always be willing to leave a season when it's time to leave a season. Always be willing to put your foot down and set your boundaries, because God believes in boundaries too. Yeah. That's why God told him not to eat that fruit off that tree. That was his boundary, But I think being authentic, not being ashamed, and what your walk with Christ looks like is the ultimate freedom. We think freedom is God delivering us from this sin and delivering us from that sin, but before you get delivered, you got to be vulnerable with him. That's ultimate freedom. Yeah. So I encourage anybody, start the walk. I don't care where you at. Yeah. Start the walk. Yeah. And the road is yeah. We just appreciate you, man, because like I said, man, we all about people walking in their purpose on purpose, and that's what you doing. Continue to go after God, continue to continue your yes, continue to minister. And I just believe God gonna do some great things in your life, in your business, in your brand. He gonna elevate you. He gonna bring those around you that need to hear what you got inside, and they need what you got. Know that you are more than enough. You're loved, you're wanted, and you're needed for a time like this. You're stronger than and I just love what God is doing in you. Continue to do it and be strong, and he gonna bless you because he can trust you. Yes. Yeah. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. But then I do, because I'm like, woo, what you over here?
No, and then like even with the last time, like me, like I said, I see that you for real with it. Like a lot of people, they just be doing something or you don't even know, but the fruit that you bear, you can see it. You know, your fruit, just like when you did my hair last time, I seen that you were structured, you were focused, and you at work, but you still doing ministry work. And I'm like, man, that's double. Like the week ain't doing that. They like, I ain't at church. Forget church, you know, or I holler at them Sunday. You still doing the ministry work. You still doing the work on top of that. So you actually living it, man. And you bearing the fruit. You gonna continue to do it. So I just appreciate this, you know, being able to be happening. And I'm gonna post it. I'm gonna share it. You tell them your information. How can they get in touch with you if they want their hair done, styled, or whatever? Where can they reach you at?
So on Instagram, I am J Beautician, JH. It's an H after the J, y'all. JHAYBEAUTICIAN, J Beautician. I'm located in McDonough. I'm also a student in cosmetology school at Paul Mitchell on West Marietta Street. So you can call them and ask for me, Jhayla. They know me, Jhayla S. Don't forget the S. Yeah, so that's really it. I don't be on Facebook too much, but Instagram, definitely that's the way to reach me. Thank you so much for this opportunity. You don't even know the people you're reaching by just getting these different testimonies, different stories, these different nuggets. You know, everybody has a story to tell, and everybody's story different people. So for you to put all of that on one platform,
Yeah.
reaching, like, come on now. Like, come on now. Just
Yeah.
don't stop. Don't quit.
I'm trying to be consistent, man. Just allowing God to do it. Cause like I said, when I did it, I just was doing it for that, and I seen what it was doing. And somebody actually reached out to me. They want to put my podcast on their network, like to be like every day, like every week on.
Yeah.
So, you know, I'll be able to post different stuff and more people would be able to see it. But a lot of people that's back in my hometown, Toledo, Ohio, they seeing it, you know, it's helping them. And man, that testimony, this and that. So that's why, you know, I continue to do it, you know, and I need genuine people like you that's actually living it. Cause I don't be wanting no fraud, nobody just get up there and say what you want them to say. No, I want them to be able to see it through them and feel what you're saying.
Yeah, you right about it. And listen, we out here. We out here. So thank you for real.
Appreciate you. Yeah.
And I'll be seeing you soon.
Yeah, you will in a couple weeks.
Yeah, all right then.
That's why I took to wear this hat. I ain't take it off. I'm like, she ain't about to get me.
Listen, when I had my locks, no retwist, barely ever. I'm talking I would retwist maybe once every 3 months, like wolfing it. So
Yeah.
my lips be sealed.
Yeah.
Well, I don't be having nothing bad to say about nobody because I know what I be doing and what I done did and all that kind of stuff. It be like, but you on a mission. I hear ain't priority all the time, but when it is, come see me.
Yeah. Thank you. I'll be in touch.
All right. Thank you.